The topic of today actually is an introduction to quantitative research method. And okay, now we can see my screen, right? Yes, you can see?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So for introduction to quantitative research method, always I start with these two onion. Are you familiar with this onion? Who are familiar with this onion?
Yes, during a research method class.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Research method class.
Research method class. So in research method class, you discuss this one, your lecturer, or I discuss for you?
Prof.
Both.
Kasif.
You discuss.
Both, I think.
Yeah, both
Okay.
of you.
Yeah.
Both of you did, yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, it's good. So you are familiar with this onion. This onion is Sanders onion. Actually, I love this onion. And I think all researchers to understand research and to design a good research need to understand the different layers of this onion. Of course, also for quantitative research method, we need to understand the different layers of this onion to design our research. This onion is developed by Sanders and his colleague. First version in 2003, but this version that here you have, you can see this is the 2009 version. And this version has changed a bit in 2016. So here in 2009 version, you can see the third layer is research strategy, and the fourth layer is research method. But in 2016 version, the third layer is research method or methodological choice, and the fourth layer is research strategy. So the updated version, and actually this version make more sense because first we need to identify our research method, and then we can apply or we can identify our research strategy. And each research method needs a specific research strategy. For example, we cannot apply ethnography for quantitative method, or we cannot do grounded theory for quantitative method. Also, for using with the numerical data or doing survey using questionnaire, we cannot apply a qualitative method, right? So this version, third layer is method layer and fourth is strategy layer. But actually, based on this Sanders onion or research onion, we can understand different layers or different steps of research that we need to actually fulfill, and we need to meet, and we need to answer to associated questions in each layer, and then we can go to other layer. We can go to next layer. So we cannot jump in last layer. You can see the center of this onion or last layer is data collection and data analysis. So if we see this course as a data analysis technique or quantitative data analysis, so we have to go directly to this layer. But actually, before going to this layer, we need to answer many other questions related to our research design before going to last layer. So to conduct a quantitative research method is not possible to start from last layer, from data collection and data analysis. Sometimes I ask, especially PhD student or some researcher, okay, what's your method? And the answer is, I'm using questionnaire and using SPSS, right? But this answer is for last layer, for data collection method and data analysis technique, not software. Answer of SPSS is, answer of SPSS refers to only software. Also not method, right? So this layer is last layer of our research design. And but before reaching to this layer, we need to answer questions or identify other layers. First layer of this onion is research philosophy or research paradigm. Research philosophy or research paradigm refer to our thinking and our answer to some main questions. And first layer, most of time, come from our thinking and our mind, not from our research. But we need to identify our research paradigm, because based on our research paradigm, we can actually choose, we have some specific option in other layers. If our way of thinking, if our paradigm or research paradigm, for example, is interpretivism, the method that we have to apply to deal with social phenomena and conduct research in social science discipline should be qualitative, not quantitative. But if our research paradigm is positivism or realism or pragmatism, so it's fine, it's okay to apply quantitative method. So, in first place, we need to understand and we need to identify our research paradigm. But what's the meaning of research paradigm? Research paradigm is identified based on answer to three main questions. And these three main questions show our ontological perspective, epistemological perspective, and axiological perspective. So these three questions are from these three perspectives: ontology, epistemology, and axiology. For first question, from ontological perspective, actually, ontological perspective shows our understanding about reality. What we think about reality, especially when reality is connected with social phenomena. For example, when we talk about some concept like, come to make it more understandable, when we talk about satisfaction, or when we talk about values or beliefs or attitudes of people, how we understand these concepts and what's our understanding and opinion about reality of these concepts. There are two main streams. One, somebody say, for the social concept, social phenomena like values, attitudes, and satisfaction. We cannot have, it's not possible to have a common understanding about these social concepts. It's not possible to have a common understanding of value, belief, or attitude. And attitude, belief, value of each person should be understood separately and independently to other person. So we have multiple reality. So this multiple reality, we cannot get common understanding about this concept, about attitude, about value. This is one way of thinking, one way to interpret and understand reality. Another mainstream to answer to this question and understanding of reality is, for social phenomena, we can and it's possible to have a common understanding of social phenomena, and also we can measure it based on this common understanding. We agree that attitude, satisfaction, value, these concepts are subjective concepts and can be different from one person to other person. But still, we can have common understanding about meaning of satisfaction. Level of satisfaction change between one person to other person. But the meaning of satisfaction exists in real world. So we can define satisfaction. It's possible to have a common understanding about meaning of satisfaction. So it's possible to have a common understanding of reality. So if it's possible to have a common understanding, we can measure it. This is another stream, another way of thinking, another interpretation of reality. So we have these two main answers to this ontological question. What's the nature of reality? So you can see our answer to this question is not related to our research. It comes from our understanding, our thinking, our mind, our worldwide view, right? Second question is about epistemology. What type of knowledge about social phenomena can be considered valid knowledge? What type of knowledge is valid for social phenomena? Again, here there are two main streams. One say, okay, only the knowledge for social phenomena, that we do deep investigation for each case. We do deep investigation and exploration of each case, each social case, social subject can be valid knowledge for social phenomena. if we want to understand perception, if we want to understand attitude, value, case by case, we need to go through and try to understand the meaning of value, the meaning of attitude and perception, case by case. And is not possible to measure, or to get knowledge for this social concept without this deep exploration. This is one way of knowledge. And this actually the perspective only consider this type of knowledge as valid knowledge for social phenomena. But there is another understanding, another opinion, another perspective. Say, because we believe there is a common understanding of social phenomena. So these common understanding can be measured. And the knowledge for this type of understanding is valid knowledge. Why we say this type of knowledge is not valid? When we have a common understanding, and it's possible to have a common understanding, so we can get knowledge for this social phenomenon. We can understand attitude and we can measure it. And this type of knowledge still is valid knowledge. So this is two ways to answer this epistemological question, and from epistemology perspective. Another pillar to identify our research paradigm is axiology. Axiology refers to role of values on our understanding, interpretation, and of course, our research. What's the role of values? If I have some beliefs, values, attitude, necessarily these values and attitudes will influence my interpretation of social phenomena, or I can interpret, I can understand social phenomena independently, independent of my values. Which one I believe? One group, one way of thinking, one school of thought believe that it's not possible to interpret social phenomena independent of our values and attitudes. But another school of thought said it's possible. We can conduct research. We can interpret social phenomena independent of our values. So it's possible to do independently. Okay, so we have three main questions and three main pillars. These three main pillars and answer to these three main questions identify our research philosophy or research paradigm. So at the beginning of our research, we have to dig, we have to explore our mind and see what's the answer to these three questions. And based on answer to these three questions, we can identify our research paradigm. If our answer to first question is reality is multiple and we cannot have a common understanding of the social phenomena. Answer to first question. Second question, we believe that only knowledge from deep exploration and deep investigation of each case is valid knowledge. And then our values influence on our interpretation and understanding. So based on these three answers, our research paradigm is interpretivism or constructivism. So this is one way of thinking about social phenomena. But if we believe, if our answer to these three questions is one, it's possible to have a common understanding of social phenomena. It doesn't mean social phenomena as a subjective concept. The definition and meaning and concept vary from one person to other person, change from one person to other person. We can have a common understanding, and then we can measure this common understanding, and the measurement of this common understanding is actually produce valid knowledge. And we can conduct our research, we can interpret social phenomena independent of our values. Especially, we can conduct research independent of our values. And necessarily, our values don't influence on our research and our understanding and interpretation. So if we think in this way, in social sciences discipline, we are close to natural scientists. So our paradigm is positivism. But actually, positivism and interpretivism are two sides of a spectrum. Interpretivism is, if we consider interpretivism in the end of right side, positivism is at the end of left side. But actually, there are some other paradigms between these two main paradigms or philosophy or school of thoughts. That some of them close to each one and some of them is close to another one. One of the research paradigm that is close to positivism, but it's very suitable for especially social phenomena and social science discipline, is realism. Positivism paradigm focus more on measuring objective concept. For example, we measure, in a simple way, we measure weight, we measure height, we measure temperature, right? So these concepts are very objective concepts, and we use some tools to measure these concepts. But in social science, we believe on measurement. So we believe on measurement theory and believe we can measure concept. But we have some differences with this understanding and measuring objective concept like social scientists. In social science, we measure subjective concept. So it's a bit different with objective concept. We measure attitude, we measure satisfaction. So measuring attitude and satisfaction is different with measuring temperature. We can use some tools to measure temperature. We can use a scale to measure weight. But it's not possible to apply some tools to measure attitude. So measurement still is measurement. Measurement is there, but measurement of subjective social concept is different with measurement of objective concept in natural science, right? So if we believe on these three pillars, still believe on common understanding, belief on measurement and valid knowledge, and belief on independency of our values, but working in social science, instead of positivism, we are going to realism paradigm. Realism paradigm believe social science discipline can be measured, Also subjective concept can be measured. But we need some understanding to measure subjective concept, and it's different with objective concept that we are working in natural science. Right? So this is another paradigm. And realism, this is a common mistake in social science disciplines, that if we work with if we apply quantitative research, quantitative method, and we measuring subjective concept, we are positivist, and positivism is our research paradigm. But I can say this is a common mistake. In social science discipline, most of time, our paradigm is realism instead of positivism. And realism is close to positivism, but with different understanding of spatially ontology and epistemology. Another paradigm is pragmatism. Pragmatism paradigm, instead of looking on method of thinking, way of thinking, to identify a research paradigm, look at the problem. So pragmatists say, okay, reality can be multiple and can be unique. We have, both are possible. Both type of knowledge is valid, can be valid knowledge. And we can conduct our research independent of our values and dependent. But all of these things depend on our research problem and research objective. What our research problem say? If our research problem say, okay, we need to apply quantitative method to address this research objective, so the knowledge from quantitative is valid, we can investigate social phenomena using quantitative, and we can do independently from our values. But if our research problem is qualitative, our research objectives need qualitative method, research question need qualitative method. So also this type of knowledge can be valid knowledge. So this is pragmatic way of thinking. So if we think in this way, our research paradigm and research philosophy is pragmatism. So for quantitative method, if our research is, if we are working with the very objective concept like finance, accounting, in finance and accounting, still under social science, but most of time we are working with the income, we are working with the, for example, in national level with GDP, we are working with some criteria or indicator, objective indicator for our research. So if we are working with this objective concept, our paradigm is, can be positivism. But if we are working with subjective concepts, like other fields and disciplines in social science, for example, in psychology, in marketing, in business, in tourism, education, when we are working with subjective concept, we are working with satisfaction, we are working with attitude, we are working with perception. When we are working with these subjective social concepts, our paradigm is more close to realism compared to positivism, right? So when we apply quantitative, still can be under these two paradigms, based on our research area and based on our objective and research. But I understand this paradigm comes from our mind. So before going to do research, we need to answer to these questions, right? But actually, there is overlap between these two, and we cannot say, okay, in first phase, without looking at research, we need to decide, we need to identify this one, and then go to research. Sometimes it's not possible. So if we think our research should be quantitative research, but we are working with we are working with subjective concept, so our paradigm will be very close to realism. But if you are working with objective concept, our paradigm is close to positivism. And also can be pragmatism. If we think both type of knowledge, valid knowledge, and we can apply based on research problem or research question, and we can do in two different ways based on our research objective. So our paradigm is pragmatism. So in first part of your methodology, you have to explain and identify, explain, and justify your research paradigm. So again, when you apply quantitative, it's not necessarily your objective, your paradigm positivism. Can be realism or pragmatism, right? So this is first layer of Sanders onion for quantitative research method. Okay, so any question? Okay. Second layer is the research approach. Research approach from second layer, actually, we are dealing with our research. Also in first layer, we have connection to identify research paradigm. We have connection with our research. But the strong link to our research is started from second layer, research approach. We have two main research approach in our research, deductive and inductive. Inductive research approach actually is for some study that we have some main research question, and we don't have established theory, strong established theory to support our research. So we are supposed to start from data, and at the end of our research, we are supposed to develop theory, develop model. So for inductive research, we don't collect quantitative data, we don't collect large sample. Our method is qualitative, and we don't talk about, and we have no concern about generalization. But in deductive method, deductive approach, in deductive approach, actually we start from theory. And in deductive approach, we think and we want to investigate causal relationship between concepts, between variables. So we have something to measure and we want to investigate causal relationship, causal effect between variables, right? So if our objective, if our research objective refer to testing causal relationship between some variables, so our approach is deductive. If we need to collect large number of data, if our research aim to generalize the result, right? So our research is deductive. Our research approach is deductive. Deductive research approach needs quantitative research method. So if our research approach is deductive, we have to apply quantitative research method. So for deductive, we work with numbers, we work with numerical data, because actually we apply quantitative method. Deductive is very structured research, so we try to generalize the result. But the most important thing that influence on entire of the process of research from deductive and inductive approach is the first point. In deductive approach, we start from theory. So it's very, very, very critical to understand the concept of theory. Without understanding of theory, without having an established theory, a strong theory, is not possible to conduct a deductive research and a quantitative research. Because quantitative method come with deductive approach. And deductive approach, we have to start from theory. So starting point of deductive approach is theory. Starting point of deductive approach is theory. And then based on theory, we collect data, analyze and interpret data. And then at the end, we try to confirm theory or modify theory or develop theory based on our result and our finding. But the starting point is theory. So if you are doing quantitative research, deductive research, you apply deductive approach, theoretical framework, and theory is the key point in your research. Later, we will go through the meaning of theory and explain a bit more. These are some characteristics of the deductive approach. Actually, deductive approach, we apply quantitative. So we have hypothesis and we test hypothesis in deductive because we have causal relationship. And we test this causal relationship, and this causal relationship called hypothesis. Later we will see the meaning of hypothesis. And we test hypotheses, and at the end we confirm theory or modify theory. So this is the second layer. So for quantitative research, our research paradigm can be either positivism or realism based on our research, or pragmatism. Research approach. For quantitative research, our research approach is deductive research approach. And third layer, now we are coming to quantitative method. In third layer, we have different methodological choice. Our method, whole process, all layers of this standard onion can be called research methodology or research design. But this layer is research method layer or methodological choice layer. So here, quantitative or qualitative is research method, but research methodology can be whole process. Okay, methodological choice can be monomethod. We can have quantitative, can apply quantitative, only quantitative, or only qualitative, or we can have multiple choice, multiple method. This can be mixed method. Mixed method is mixing qualitative and quantitative. So in mixed method, the key criteria is combination of qualitative and quantitative, or multi-method. And multi-method can be under qualitative or quantitative, but apply different strategies, different data collection method, or different data analysis techniques. So this can be multi-method. But mixed method, combination of qualitative and quantitative is compulsory, right? So for quantitative research method, of course, our method is quantitative, but can be monomethod or multiple or multi-method under quantitative. Can have different strategy for data collection. We collect primary data and also use secondary data and combine in different steps of our research. Analyze primary data and analyze secondary data. So we have two types of data collection and the two steps for, of course, analysis of these collected data. So can be mono or can be multi-method under quantitative. But the paradigm and approach is deductive, and paradigm can be realism, positivism, or pragmatism.